The Amazing World of Gumball, created by Ben Clay, is a well-loved animated series that first graced Cartoon Network on May 3, 2011. It didn't take long for the show to earn worldwide praise for its distinctive and inventive animation, along with its sharp wit and astute social commentary. After 6 successful seasons and over 200 episodes, the series wrapped up in 2019, leaving us on probably the biggest cliffhanger ever. Before we dive into the episodes, let's set the stage so we better understand the show. Our main character is Gumball Watterson, a delightful, imaginative, and optimistic goofball who happens to be a 12-year-old cat. His family consists of Richard Watterson, a somewhat dim-witted pink rabbit, and Nicole Watterson, the rock of their household. Gumball also has a somewhat evil sister, Anais, and an adopted brother, Darwin, who's just as enthusiastic and lovable as his older brother. We'll talk more about them later down the line. The family resides in the peculiar and unpredictable world of Elmore, where you'll encounter not only incredibly bizarre characters, but also witness some truly unusual events. I mean, there's a living banana, a talking balloon, a 3D T-Rex, and so much more. Now, at first glance, you might think of this show as some comedic episodic series with no plot whatsoever, but I promise you, if you stick around till the end, you'll have your mind blown by how deep and mysterious this show actually is. So, get ready, for we are diving headfirst into the amazing world of Gumball. Season 1. In the first episode, titled The DVD, Gumball and Darwin are faced with the challenge of replacing a DVD they accidentally ruined. After a series of comical and failed attempts to hide their mistake, including trying to use a cardboard cutout as a replacement, begging for money on the street, and even trying out a job in cosmetics that leads to an allergic reaction, they find themselves in a race against time to return the DVD to Laser Video before their mother, Nicole, finds out. Despite their best efforts, their deception is eventually exposed, and Nicole ends up paying the hefty fine for the lost DVD, resulting in a humorous and chaotic conclusion to the episode. In the next episode, The Responsible, Gumball and Darwin take on the responsibility of babysitting their younger sister, Anais, while their parents attend a school event. However, their well-intentioned but overprotective antics lead to a series of comical mishaps, including a near-house flooding incident. As Anais rebels against their excessive rules, she ends up inadvertently flooding the house. When Nicole and Richard return, they confront the kids, and after a comical blame-shifting exchange, they collectively decide to blame the internet for their misadventures. It's always the goddamn internet. In the episode The Third, Gumball and Darwin realize they've grown bored of each other and set out to find a third best friend. They go through a series of comical encounters with potential friends, including Tina, William, and Banana Joe, but none of them seem to fit the bill. Ultimately, they attempt to seek Tobias as their third friend with a financial agreement. However, this arrangement ends up isolating Gumball, making him realize the importance of his friendship with Darwin. Ultimately, Gumball and Darwin reconcile, realizing the value of their friendship and deciding to exclude Tobias from their activities. In The Debt, Gumball becomes obsessed with the idea that Mr. Robinson, his neighbor, has saved his life, and is determined to repay the favor. He follows Mr. Robinson throughout the day, causing a series of mishaps and accidents that culminate in a talent show performance. Gumball's attempts to save Mr. Robinson's life continue, with increasingly comical and misguided efforts. Finally, during Mr. Robinson's performance at the talent show, Gumball inadvertently saves him from a falling light, but Mr. Robinson scolds him for cutting the performance short. In The Dress, Gumball faces an embarrassing situation where his clothes shrink in the wash, forcing him to wear Nicole's wedding dress to school. In his dress, he's mistaken for a beautiful girl and takes advantage of the situation, enjoying the special treatment he receives from his classmates who are smitten by him. Gumball's brother Darwin falls in love with the disguised Gumball, leading to a roller coaster encounter and a dilemma for Gumball. He decides to stage a fake farewell to the darling of Elmore Junior High to help Darwin move on from his infatuation. But this plan backfires when the dress falls on a fire hydrant and Darwin falls in love with it. In the episode The Pressure, the story revolves around Gumball, Darwin, and their friends' romantic misunderstandings. The girls in their group pretend to have boyfriends, prompting the boys to make a pals before gals pact. When Masami falsely claims that Darwin is her boyfriend, he hides, and Gumball tries to save him from her affections. This leads to various comedic mishaps and misadventures, including the boys attempting to avoid the girls, especially Masami, whom they believe is pursuing Darwin romantically. The episode culminates with a chaotic sequence at the school pool, where Gumball faces a choice between saving Darwin from an unwanted kiss and impressing his crush, Penny. Ultimately, both Gumball and Darwin accidentally kiss each other when the treehouse they're in is destroyed. In The Laziest, Nicole asks Richard to do chores before she leaves for work, but he tricks Gumball and Darwin into doing them. When they confront their father, he challenges them to a lazy-off. The boys agree to the contest with the condition that if they find someone lazier than Richard, he'll do their chores for a day. But if Richard proves himself the laziest, they'll do his chores forever. They decide to seek out someone lazier, leading them to Lazy Larry, who explains he isn't lazy anymore due to living a life. So they destroy everything he has to make him lazy again, but funnily, he becomes so lazy that he doesn't even show up to challenge Richard. Eventually, they return home to challenge their dad, but he manipulates the situation to make it seem like he did chores all day. As a result, Gumball and Darwin end up doing the chores, while Nicole asks Richard to relax. In the next episode, The Ghost, Carrie, the ghost, expresses her desire to experience eating and tasting again, leading to her temporarily possessing Gumball's body to indulge in a food spree. After a wild eating binge, Gumball wakes up overweight, and he, Darwin, and Richard find humor in his new appearance. As Gumball's weight continues to fluctuate due to Carrie's possession, he seeks ways to prevent her from using his body. First, Darwin attempts to create a disgusting drink to repel her, but it fails. Then, Richard teaches Gumball the skill of weaseling, which Gumball uses to evade his mother's questions. However, the problem persists until Gumball finally takes a stand and refuses to let Carrie possess him, leading to a humorous showdown. In the end, Gumball decides to let Carrie possess his dad, allowing her to enjoy food to her heart's content. In the episode, The Kiss, the Watterson children, Gumball, Darwin, and Anais, are left in the care of their overbearing and affectionate granny JoJo, while their parents escape her smothering attention. Gumball becomes traumatized after receiving a kiss from Granny JoJo on the lips instead of the cheek, and he struggles to cope with the experience, even experiencing disturbing nightmares. Darwin attempts to help him overcome this trauma by subjecting him to a series of challenging tasks, hoping to make him forget about the unwanted kiss. However, Gumball's anxiety lingers until he finally forgets about it, only to relive the horror when JoJo returns for another visit. The episode ends with Gumball in shock, having received another kiss on the lips from Granny JoJo. In the next episode, The Party, Rachel throws a party and is blackmailed by Tobias into letting his friends attend, with the condition that each guest must bring a date. Gumball and Darwin embark on a quest to find dates for the party, with Gumball's shyness complicating their efforts. Gumball's attempts to ask out various girls result in comical rejections and embarrassing situations, ultimately leading him to bring Tina as his date. The party starts off slow, but when Miss Simeon unexpectedly joins in and cranks up the music, the party becomes a wild and enjoyable event, with underclassmen from school causing chaos. In the end, Rachel appreciates the party, Darwin receives a kiss from her as a thank you, and Gumball and Penny share a sweet moment despite some interruptions on their way home. Later, Gumball prepares for a date with his crush, Penny, seeking advice and undergoing various training sessions from his family, ranging from teaching proper etiquette to handling unexpected situations. However, his date turns out to be a somber occasion, as Penny reveals it was for her pet spider, Mr. Cuddles, whose untimely demise occurred when her father flushed him down the toilet. However, Mr. Cuddles is still alive, and Gumball reunites him with the family, only to pass out from the bites he received. In The Ape, Miss Simeon, the schoolteacher, becomes obsessed with winning the Favorite Teacher Award, requiring a student's recommendation, which she lacks due to her unlikable personality. Depressed, she seeks solace with Gumball and Darwin, much to their discomfort. They attempt to teach her how to be a friend by engaging in various awkward activities, leading to her temporary acceptance by the Watterson family. Nicole, however, sees through her ruse and, along with her family, chases Miss Simeon to retrieve the recommendation letter she tricked Gumball into writing. The chase culminates in an accident on a freeway overpass, where Miss Simeon retrieves the letter but falls into the overpass, ending up in a wheelchair and full-body cast, while still believing her pursuit of the award was worth it. In The Curse, the Watterson family faces a series of unfortunate events stemming from what they believe to be Gumball's bad luck. After Gumball slips in the shower, misses the bus, and experiences a string of mishaps, they become convinced he's cursed. Various attempts to change his luck fail, and Gumball ends up in a dangerous and chaotic situation at school. When it appears his luck might take a turn for the worse, he makes a daring jump and ends up in the hospital, narrowly escaping death. The family eventually decides to wish for Daisyland tickets, leading to a comical series of events involving a ticket that finally arrives and is promptly destroyed. The bad luck never ends. In The Microwave, Gumball and Darwin accidentally create a tiny monster they name Kenneth, and they decide to keep him as their child. As Kenneth rapidly grows and becomes uncontrollable, the boys seek parental advice but misunderstand their father's instruction. Kenneth eventually devours their family members, leading Gumball and Darwin to attempt to rescue them. Their rescue mission goes awry, and the family ends up trapped inside the monster. They ultimately flood Kenneth with water, causing him to explode and release the family. However, in the end, they realize that their decision to spare Kenneth has led to even bigger problems, as he becomes a colossal monster wreaking havoc on the town. Gumball and Darwin reflect on their initial decision and wish they had destroyed him when he was smaller. A little too late for that now. Season 1 ends with the episode The Fight. Gumball faces bullying from Tina Rex and ends up scheduled for a fight with her. Despite trying various methods to prepare for the confrontation, he's left defenseless in front of his classmates. When his mother, Nicole, learns about the situation, she confronts Tina's father and sorts things out in a physically intense way. Meanwhile, Gumball discovers that Tina wasn't bullying him, but was just having fun. They reconcile, and the episode ends with Gumball embracing the playful atmosphere of their interaction. Season 2. In The Colossus, Gumball and Darwin attempt to befriend Hector, a giant, but find him uninteresting. When they realize it's because of Hector's mother's strict upbringing, they encourage him to stand up to her and to be more exciting. However, this leads to Hector going on a destructive rampage, prompting Gumball, Darwin, and Hector's mother to intervene. They manage to calm Hector down, and he decides to return to his boring life to avoid further chaos. In the end, Gumball chooses a unique solution to prevent another rampage by smashing the computer to avoid Hector's friend request, ensuring everyone's safety. In The Knights, Gumball anxiously prepares for Penny's visit to his house, attempting to make a good impression on her father, Patrick. However, a series of comical mishaps and misunderstandings lead to Patrick developing a strong disliking for Gumball. When Tobias, another classmate, expresses interest in Penny and challenges Gumball to a duel for her affections, a comedic battle ensues. The situation takes a turn when a near accident involving Penny brings Gumball and Patrick closer together, but the chaotic climax leaves their house in shambles. In the end, Patrick thanks Gumball for saving his daughter, while the Watterson family is left frustrated with the property damage. In the episode The Flower, Gumball becomes consumed by jealousy when he misinterprets a friendly gesture between Leslie and Penny as something more romantic. His jealousy takes control of his actions and ultimately drives him to frame Leslie for a theft, causing chaos and misunderstanding at their school. When Gumball's jealousy becomes a separate, malevolent entity, the gang comes together to perform an exorcism. When Penny reveals that she and Leslie are cousins, the jealousy disappears. In the end, the group reflects on the absurdity of the situation, bringing humor and resolution to the episode. Now, we've already established that Richard might be the laziest person in Elmore, but what happens if he gets rid of this laziness? Well, in The Job, Richard Watterson gets a job as a pizza delivery guy, which causes concern and anxiety for his wife, Nicole. Gumball and Darwin are left to watch over Richard, but their attempt to help him with his pizza deliveries leads to a series of bizarre and chaotic events. As they make pizza deliveries, strange things start happening across Elmore, including distorted reality and unusual weather patterns. Nicole becomes convinced that Richard's job is causing these anomalies and sets out to have him fired. The family confronts Richard at his bizarre delivery destination, and the customer there complains about the half-eaten pizza. In the end, his crude method of obtaining free pizza finally gets him fired, restoring the fabric of reality in Elmore. In hindsight, Richard's laziness is responsible for keeping balance in the universe, so it's best if he sits on his ass and does nothing. In the next episode, Gumball, Darwin, and Anais embark on a trick-or-treating adventure, but Gumball is determined to find a haunted house rumored to host a party for the undead. Carrie, a ghost, guides them there and introduces them to a mysterious potion, which they consume, turning them into ghosts. They enjoy their newfound ghostly abilities, but eventually learn they must return to their bodies by midnight to avoid being stuck as ghosts forever. Anais, who also takes a sip of the potion, helps them find their bodies, but they're almost lost to the afterlife as the deadline approaches. Fortunately, they manage to retrieve their bodies in the nick of time, but an unexpected twist leaves them in the wrong bodies, and Carrie mysteriously disappears, leaving them in a perplexing situation. In The Treasure, the Watterson family stumbles upon a mystery involving their financial struggles. The children, curious about their family's frugality, embark on a quest to uncover the secret behind their lack of money. They discover old bank statements, a key, and a mysterious purchase from Stellar Corporation, which leads them to believe there's hidden treasure involved. However, their pursuit takes them on a wild adventure through cryptic clues and strange encounters. Eventually, they learn the truth about their financial downfall, which turns out to be an absurd investment in a star Richard made 12 years ago. Despite their momentary disappointment, the family shares a touching moment under the star, which unfortunately fades away, leaving them with a bittersweet ending. In The Authority, Richard's hapless attempts to fix the TV lead to a head injury and hospitalization. Granny JoJo seizes the opportunity to move in and take charge of the family, asserting herself as the responsible one. She imparts her safety lessons to the family, causing them to become overly cautious and fearful of everyday activities. Their paranoid behavior escalates until they're all rendered comically overweight and clumsy, mirroring Richard's lack of common sense. Nicole realizes the negative impact of Granny JoJo's teachings and attempts to restore her family's common sense, but they end up driving recklessly down a highway. Ultimately, they regain their composure and stop the car just in time, realizing the importance of learning from mistakes. And they all share a laugh, reconciling with Granny JoJo and appreciating Nicole's parenting skills. In The Virus, a virus army attempts to infiltrate Gumball's body, but is washed away by Terry when she forces Gumball to wash his hands. Gumball and Darwin mock Terry's obsession with cleanliness, but she terrifies them with images of uncleanliness. Gumball challenges her, licks a filthy keyboard, and unwittingly ingests a vindictive virus. The situation escalates as the virus takes control of appliances, and they're chased by infected cars. Gumball confronts the virus, and in a surprising twist, he defeats it by merely stepping on it. In the episode, The Pony, Gumball and Darwin attempt to fulfill a promise to buy a movie for their sister Anais, but their plans go awry as they encounter a series of comical obstacles. Their quest to acquire the movie is riddled with mishaps, including Tony falling into a manhole, a run-in with Rob, a character of utmost importance, and an unexpected detour to Sussie's birthday party. As they finally retrieve the movie, they eagerly return home to share it with Anais, only for her to dislike it immediately, leaving the boys relieved that they won't have to watch it, concluding the episode on a humorous note. In the episode, the finale, the Wattersons find themselves in a series of unfortunate predicaments. Mrs. Jotunheim demands they pay for damages caused by their son's rampage. Principal Brown forces Gumball and Darwin to restart school from kindergarten, and the police threaten Richard with prison for reckless driving. To make matters worse, they face a massive $800,000 bill that must be paid by the next day to avoid losing their house. The family attempts various desperate schemes, including hijacking a school bus and trying to scam other students' parents. Nicole and Anais attempt to make amends, but their past actions have repercussions, leading to a restraining order from Larry. In a final act of desperation, the family ends up in a prison cell with some intimidating inmates. As chaos ensues in the town, the citizens turn into an angry mob, seeking revenge on the Wattersons for their past actions, and the episode ends with the family surrounded and seemingly doomed. Gumball's whimsical suggestion that only a magic device resetting reality could save them adds a surreal twist to the episode, leaving the fate of the Wattersons uncertain. Season 3. In The Fan, Gumball and Darwin encounter the persistent and overly enthusiastic Sarah, who's transferred to Elmore Junior High to be closer to them. Initially, they find her behavior unnerving and confront her about it. Sarah explains that she's lonely and feels like her life is a story. The boys ask her to leave them alone, but after finding her notebook and reading about her perspective, they feel guilty and decide to make amends. They join Sarah in acting out her story, with Gumball and Darwin competing for her attention in a fictional fight, and eventually they destroy her notebook, leading to an unexpected response from Sarah as she hums the show's ending theme. Next up, we have an episode that sets the stage for the most intriguing plots I have ever seen in a kids show. The Void introduces us to the concept of, well, you guessed it, the Void. Gumball and Darwin notice that the school cheerleaders are missing something during their practice. Mr. Small, wearing a tinfoil hat, claims there's a conspiracy of missing things in Elmore and advises them to look for what is not there. The boys discover that Molly, a classmate, seems to have disappeared, as if she never existed. They investigate further, finding a hidden picture that leads them to Molly's treehouse, which has also disappeared. They uncover a gap where the world folded in on itself and get sucked into the void, a place filled with mistakes and errors. Inside, they find Molly frozen in time, and after freeing her, they barely escape the shrinking gap. You can also see Rob calling out for them in the backyard, but to no avail. This is something you might want to remember moving forward. Anyways, they celebrate her return but soon forget the experience, as their tinfoil hats are sucked into the void, erasing their memories. In The Mothers, it's Mother's Day, and Gumball and Darwin attempt to create a special card for their mom, Nicole, portraying her as a superhero. They engage in a contest with Tobias and Banana Joe to determine who has the best mom. As the challenges progress, it becomes evident that Tobias and his mom Jackie are cheating to win each round. However, Nicole ultimately saves Gumball and Darwin when they hang perilously from a parking garage banner. She's hailed as the superest mom, and her heroic act cements her status as the best mom. The episode ends with a humorous accident, as Nicole appears to fly like a superhero, but then falls back to the ground. In the episode The Shelf, Gumball and Penny are acting as the Beast and Belle, and they share an awkward moment when Penny suggests a kiss. However, things take a dramatic turn when an accident reveals a crack in Penny's shell, which she hides underneath. Mr. Fitzgerald is concerned about her condition and forbids her from seeing Gumball. Devastated, Gumball pleads with Penny to be herself, and when she reveals her true form, a magical fairy-like creature, is initially too stunned to react. Misunderstanding his silence, Penny changes into different forms, believing she's a monster. As she flees, Gumball chases after her to express his true feelings. After a series of shape-shifting encounters, he finally assures her that her appearance doesn't matter, and they share a heartfelt kiss, which transforms Penny back into her true form. In The Bros, Gumball becomes infatuated with the idea of creating a special, intimate moment for someone, initially intended for Penny. Darwin, feeling left out and jealous, resorts to extreme measures to get Gumball's attention back, even becoming mean towards Penny. After multiple mishaps and misunderstandings, Penny suggests that she and Gumball spend some time apart to resolve the situation between Gumball and Darwin. In a heartfelt but awkward attempt to propose to Penny, Gumball's romantic plan turns into chaos, culminating in a shed exploding. Eventually, Gumball asks Penny to marry him, but she humorously reminds them that they're only 12. They all reconcile, and Penny uses the ring to announce Gumball and Darwin as bros, leaving them in good spirits while a nearby house is engulfed in flames due to the fiery mishap with origami roses. The next lore-heavy episode is The Oracle. The Watterson family visits the Bananas garage sale and discovers Banana Barbara's prophetic paintings depicting their future misadventures. Gumball becomes determined to change his fate and avoid a humiliating situation at the mall, but his efforts to avert the predicted events are in vain. Despite numerous attempts to stop his family from going to the mall, Gumball finds himself exactly in the situation foretold by the painting. As the events unfold, he faces the inevitability of his actions, and ultimately fulfills the painting's prediction of him standing naked in the mall, surrounded by a shocked crowd. The episode concludes with the Wattersons contemplating the role of the paintings in shaping their destiny, while Banana Barbara hints at more enigmatic art to come. Then, in The Nobody, Gumball and Darwin are accused of various wrongdoings by their family, leading to their punishment of staying in their room and missing out on a trip to the museum. Suspecting that one of them may be responsible for the incidents, the brothers investigate and discover a mysterious person living in a secret basement beneath their house. This individual, who cannot remember his own identity, is revealed to be Rob, a character who previously appeared in The Void. After remembering how he was ignored when they came to rescue Molly and how he escaped by clinging to the back of the van, Rob assumes the role of a villain and vows to become Gumball and Darwin's nemesis. And just like before, the two do not care at all. In the Series 3 finale, The Money, the Watterson family faces a financial crisis when they discover they have no money due to Richard's reckless actions. They refuse to sell themselves out for easy money and decide to live with their dignity in poverty. However, their dire situation leads them to lose everything, including their home, possessions, and even their animated appearance. Gumball's stubbornness initially leads them to cling to their principles, but as the glitch and degradation of their world worsen, they ultimately decide to accept a commercial offer from Joyful Burger to regain their former lives. Season 4. Season 4 kicks off with The Return. In this episode, Richard, the father of Gumball, Darwin, and Anais, has a chaotic morning when he oversleeps and realizes that the kids are missing on their first day back to school. In his frantic attempt to get them to school on time, he mistakenly leaves them in a crate of balls at the harbor after a series of misadventures, thinking it's his car. He embarks on a wild journey to retrieve them, including commandeering various vehicles and causing chaos at their school. Ultimately, the kids are reunited with their mother, Nicole, in a dramatic and humorous fashion as they emerge from the crate of balls. In another important episode called The Nemesis, Gumball and Darwin notice that their former enemy, Rob, has given up on trying to get revenge on them. Unwilling to let him quit, they decide to help him reinvent himself as a villain named Dr. Wrecker. They assist him in developing a villainous persona, including a deep, British-accented voice and a suitable outfit. However, when they throw a celebration to welcome him to the dark side, Rob becomes offended and decides to carry out a villainous plan to destroy the Elmore Dam and flood the town. Gumball and Darwin join him, only to discover that the dam they're targeting is a soda vending machine, not an actual dam. Despite the failed plan, they purposely get caught in one of Rob's traps, which boosts his spirits and continues their rivalry. Then, in The Apprentice, Gumball tries to prove himself worthy of being Penny's boyfriend by accompanying her father, Patrick Fitzgerald, to an important business meeting at Chanex Inc. However, Patrick is initially annoyed by Gumball's presence and attempts to leave him behind. Still, he ends up taking Gumball to the meeting. Gumball continues to inadvertently embarrass Patrick throughout the meeting, and even accepts a challenge from a goblin executive to win a game of golf for a new hospital contract. Gumball and Patrick cheat their way through the game, with Gumball ultimately having to choose between winning and ensuring the well-being of Elmore. He decides to lose the game and save the town from the construction of a highway, and Patrick is proud of him for his selfless choice. However, the entire golfing adventure turns out to be a dream, and Gumball wakes up in an ambulance, leaving the episode on a humorous note. In the episode The Origins, we learn about the story of how Darwin joined the Wattersons family. A few years after Gumball was born, Nicole and Richard decide to get Gumball a pet fish named Darwin to keep him occupied and prevent him from causing trouble. Gumball is fascinated by his new pet and enjoys playing with him. However, one morning, Gumball discovers that Darwin has died. Richard, wanting to spare Gumball's feelings, secretly replaces Darwin with another fish multiple times, as each fish meets an unfortunate demise due to their carelessness. When Richard goes to buy yet another fish, he encounters a mysterious man who gives him a special fish, the new Darwin. Gumball is overjoyed with his new pet, but he soon realizes that this fish is incredibly intelligent. Darwin can understand and mimic human expressions, and he even starts talking. Gumball decides to show his parents Darwin's abilities, but they misinterpret Darwin's actions as signs of illness and nearly flush him down the toilet. In the end, Darwin gets flushed away, leaving Gumball in shock, and the episode ends with a "to be continued" title card. In The Origins Part 2, we continue from the previous episode. Darwin is accidentally flushed down the toilet and embarks on an adventurous journey to find his way back to the Watterson family. As he travels through the sewers and over land, Darwin encounters various obstacles, faces exhaustion, and meets other animals along the way. Meanwhile, Gumball and his family mourn the loss of Darwin, with Gumball refusing to give up hope. Darwin undergoes unexpected physical changes, growing new body parts, which help him on his journey. He eventually returns to Elmore, but is briefly mistaken for a dog and caged. At the same time, the Wattersons decide to get a new fish to replace Darwin, unaware that he's on his way back. As Gumball is about to choose a new fish, he senses Darwin's presence and rushes to reunite with him, much to the joy of Nicole and Richard. The Wattersons officially adopt Darwin as part of their family, and they all head home together, ending the episode on a heartwarming note. So this is how Darwin became a member of the Watterson family. The next episode is The Signal, which is one of my favorite episodes of the show. Gumball and Darwin find themselves dealing with an unusual and disruptive glitch that affects their communication. Whenever Gumball attempts to give Darwin a compliment or apologize, this glitch kicks in, making it sound like he's insulting him instead. This leads to a series of misunderstandings, arguments, and hurt feelings between the two friends. After a while, they both realize that these strange interactions are due to the glitches, and they come to understand that it's not their fault. The glitchy mayhem continues when they end up in the car with their dad, taking them on a chaotic adventure filled with dangerous obstacles, leaving them completely bewildered and questioning the nature of their reality. The episode takes a surreal twist as they begin to suspect that they might be characters in a TV show. However, the glitchy journey persists, and the episode concludes with a sudden and unexpected glitch, adding to the mystery. In the episode The Bus, Gumball, Darwin, and their friends contemplate skipping school as Rocky, the school bus driver, offers to take them anywhere they want. They decide to skip and embark on a fun adventure, but their joy is short-lived as what appears to be a group of criminals hijacks the bus. In a comical turn of events, it's revealed that the criminals are their parents and Principal Brown in disguise, attempting to teach the kids a lesson about the consequences of skipping school. Gumball's suspicions about the disguised adults are confirmed, but things take a wild turn when they contact the police, leading to a chaotic pursuit. It turns out that Rob is behind the whole scheme and wants money and revenge. However, he accidentally grabs the wrong briefcase containing a bomb, launching him high up in the air and right on top of the police car, which leads to his arrest. Then, in the Season 4 finale, The Disaster, Rob stumbles upon a magical remote control that grants him the power to manipulate reality itself. Fueled by a desire for revenge against Gumball, he accidentally discovers the remote's incredible abilities, enabling him to control the weather, time, and various objects. His primary target is Gumball, whom he blames for turning him into a villain. Rob's quest to humiliate Gumball leads him to manipulate his family, wreak havoc on their car, and alter the behavior of Gumball's parents. Even Gumball's brother Darwin is affected, storming off in anger. Rob goes as far as creating insulting subtitles that spark misunderstandings and conflicts between Gumball and Penny. The situation escalates, causing chaos in the mall and culminating in a dramatic confrontation between Gumball and Rob. As they battle for control of the remote, it continuously changes the format, music, and speed of their surroundings. Ultimately, Gumball manages to overpower Rob and retrieves the remote. However, Rob resorts to a cunning trick, tossing the remote into the void, a mysterious space between dimensions. In a daring move, Gumball leaps into the void to retrieve the remote and rectify the situation. And the episode concludes with Gumball catching the remote and using its powers to rewind time, giving him a second chance to fix everything. Season 5. Continuing with the episode The Rerun, Gumball finds himself back in the family car, experiencing a sense of deja vu as he recollects the events involving Rob and the enigmatic remote control. The car crashes, and Gumball begins to realize that he's trapped in a time loop, reliving these same moments. At Laser Video, Gumball attempts to warn Darwin about Rob's intentions by manipulating the subtitles. This leads to a confrontation with Rob and a frantic struggle for control of the remote. Amid the chaos, Gumball accidentally turns his parents into babies. Gumball, Darwin, and Anais understand that they must recover the remote to prevent their own existence from fading away. In their pursuit of Rob, Anais begins to lose her limbs, and Darwin reverts to a fish with no legs or lungs. Gumball finally confronts Rob, sending him into the mysterious void, but he has second thoughts and jumps in after him. Although Rob initially resists Gumball's assistance, Gumball remains resolute in his determination to rescue him. As they navigate the surreal void, Gumball undergoes a transformation, losing his physical form but using the remote's power to bridge the gap. Eventually, Gumball throws the remote to Rob, who decides to set things right by rewinding time. This leads to the erasure of their friendship, and everyone forgets the existence of the void and their cartoon nature, except for Rob. In a pivotal moment, Rob decides to destroy the remote, breaking the time loop and restoring the natural order of reality. In the episode The X, Gumball is distressed to find that his nemesis Rob has chosen a new target in Banana Joe, leaving Gumball feeling rejected and unimportant. His desperate attempts to regain Rob's attention backfire, leading to a series of comedic mishaps. Gumball mimics Banana Joe's quirks in an effort to annoy Rob, but it only annoys Banana Joe. When Gumball tries to save Banana Joe from a trap, it ends up exploding him instead. Eventually, Gumball realizes the futility of the situation and decides to make amends, proposing a friendship with Rob, which leads to a series of hilariously failed attempts at sabotaging Banana Joe. In the end, Rob's frustration boils over, and he unleashes his anger on Gumball, confirming his status as his nemesis once more. In the episode The Sorcerer, Gumball becomes determined to discover his special power after failing to demonstrate any particular talent. When he witnesses Mrs. Jotunheim's magical abilities, he decides to learn magic from her. However, Mrs. Jotunheim takes advantage of Gumball's eagerness and tricks him into cleaning her cave instead of teaching magic. Gumball and Darwin accidentally inhale cleaning fumes, leading them to believe that they've developed magical powers. Mrs. Jotunheim assigns them to clean her basement, but warns them not to open the door of forbidden secrets, which, of course, Gumball promptly opens. This unleashes a troll that captures Mr. Small. Gumball's attempt to use his newfound magic fails, and Mrs. Jotunheim is eaten by the troll. However, Gumball manages to use his supernatural annoyance to troll the troll, making it shrink until it vanishes, saving the day. The episode concludes with Gumball realizing that his unique power is his ability to annoy others. In the episode The List, Gumball and Darwin mistakenly take on Nicole's bucket list, thinking it's her list of daily chores. They embark on a series of absurd and comical adventures, attempting to check off each item on the list. This includes getting a degree by purchasing one online, saving a life by surrounding Gary with gemstones, starting a business, selling the stump butler hook, climbing a mountain by merely walking on a hill, beating a Shaolin monk by smacking him with a frying pan, and more. Eventually, they realized the list was Nicole's unfulfilled dreams from her youth. When Nicole joins them for a virtual around-the-world trip, they all bond and share the experience. The episode ends with Nicole thanking them for rekindling her spirit to pursue her dreams and giving them a list of actual chores, much to Gumball and Darwin's chagrin. This one is honestly a really sweet episode. In the Season 5 finale titled The Puppets, Gumball and Darwin are preparing for a garage sale and stumble upon their old toys, including puppet toys named Frank and Howdy. Darwin becomes strangely attached to the puppets, causing tension between him and Gumball. The puppets take control of Darwin and manipulate him to torment Gumball. In an attempt to save his brother, Gumball is transported into a bizarre puppet world and is betrayed by another puppet, Grady. Ultimately, they defeat the puppet tyrants, causing the puppet world to collapse. Back in the real world, the brothers decide to part with their old toys, concluding the episode with a yard sale. Season 6. Season 6 opens up with the episode The Rival, which shows us how Anais was brought into the family. In this episode, a flashback reveals Gumball and Darwin's initial encounter with their newborn sister, Anais, who surprisingly turns out to be quite sinister, causing a series of accidents and pranks. Gumball and Darwin go to great lengths to torment her, but they eventually realize she's still just an innocent baby. After a series of escalating pranks, including a near-disastrous trip to a trash disposal facility, the boys finally embrace their baby sister, and she reciprocates, breaking the cycle of their feud, culminating in her first spoken words. However, this newfound peace leads to a confrontation with her parents, as Anais reveals that Gumball is responsible for her previous mischievous actions. In the episode The Spin-Offs, Rob hijacks the show, taking the internet hostage, and presents a series of bizarre and absurd videos in an attempt to make the viewers forget about Gumball. The videos include live-action sock puppet dances, a surreal cartoon featuring Tina the dinosaur, a cooking show with Bobbert, a nonsensical action cartoon starring Carlton and Troy, a humorous sitcom scene with William and Tobias, a preschool reality TV show, a spotlight on everyday heroes featuring Ocho, and more. Rob's attempts to entertain the viewers with these videos become increasingly chaotic and absurd. Ultimately, he tries to redirect the audience to watch Scooby-Doo on another channel, leaving the fate of the hijacked show in question. Honestly, this episode is a really weird one. In The Transformation, Gumball visits Penny's house after she asks for his help with a family issue. However, upon arriving, he accidentally enters the wrong backyard and ends up naked in front of Penny's family. They're in the middle of a heated argument about whether Penny should stay out of her shell or not, as it goes against her family's tradition. Gumball is pressured to make a decision, but instead, he shares a series of stories about other families facing similar dilemmas, which only frustrates Penny's family more. Ultimately, Gumball's storytelling helps them realize that they've been repeating the same arguments without making any progress. They decide to agree to disagree on their stances, leaving Gumball to escape the situation, still bewildered by the family's quirks. Alright, so now we're moving towards the end of the show, with the episode The Future. The episode kicks off with Banana Barbara completing a painting at her house. Suddenly, Rob emerges from the painting and abducts her. A week later, Banana Joe seeks Gumball and Darwin's assistance in finding his missing mother. They realize that Barbara is acting erratically due to exhaustion from overworking at Mr. Channick's. To track her down, they decide to mimic her eccentric behavior, which leads to them misinterpreting clues. Simultaneously, in a warehouse, Rob compels Barbara to paint glimpses of the future, but she discreetly alters the paintings to provide hints for the trio. They inadvertently stumble upon the warehouse through a painted portal. Rob attempts to harness Barbara's powers against them, but is unsuccessful, given that Barbara's paintings possess the ability to manipulate reality. Gumball, Darwin, and Joe collaborate to erase Rob from existence through her artwork. After Barbara and Joe are happily reunited, the Watterson brothers ask her to paint Rob back into existence. She agrees, but draws Rob trapped in one of the paintings within the void. When Gumball remarks that they'll encounter Rob in the future, Barbara ominously responds, "But there is no future." The screen transitions to static, concluding the episode. In the episode The Revolt, Darwin becomes an advocate for the rights of everyday objects in Elmore, believing they deserve freedom and independence. Gumball, however, dismisses this notion and treats objects as mere tools. An argument ensues, with Darwin encouraging objects to stand up for themselves. As objects come to life, they express their desire to fulfill their intended purposes, leading to confusion and chaos. Objects revolt against people, taking control of Elmore. In this transformed world, Gumball and Darwin too become objects. Their lives are now shaped by the very objects they once took for granted, symbolizing the consequences of their actions. Things go normal in the next episode, so did this really happen in this timeline, or was it a completely different universe? I'll leave that to your interpretation. Moving on to the final episode of the show, titled The Inquisition. The episode opens with Principal Brown in a panic, informing the teachers that the school superintendent, Superintendent Evil, is coming to Elmore Junior High. In his live-action human form, Superintendent Evil announces his intention to eliminate the absurd and cartoonish elements of the school. Gumball and Darwin discuss the changes happening in the school, which include turning their classmates into cartoonish humans. Masami, who has already been transformed, warns them that they're next. Gumball and Darwin, along with other affected students, evade capture and flee to save their friends. Using their cartoon logic, they restore their classmates to their original forms in a series of zany antics. Eventually, they confront Superintendent Evil, who is revealed to be Rob in disguise. Rob claims that he was trying to save them from an impending event and offers them a choice to remain ignorant or listen to him. However, Tina knocks him out before he can explain further. Rob awakens and expresses frustration, revealing that he was trying to help them escape to the other place. Suddenly, the ground collapses, revealing the void, and the whole world starts to fall apart. Rob desperately clings to the edge, but ultimately falls into the void, screaming. The screen freeze frames on him as the credits begin, and if you remember the episode The Future, this is the exact painting Barbara drew towards the end of that episode. She also claimed that there is no future, claiming she already knew that the world was about to fall apart. The show concludes here, leaving the fans scratching their heads on the events yet to come. Don't worry, because the creators have confirmed a 7th season that is set to release somewhere in 2024, and you best believe we'll cover it as soon as it finishes. And to leave you guys with something to remember, Barbara drew a painting of the Watterson family inside the void in the episode The Oracle. And given how the world has fallen apart right before our eyes, it's highly likely that Season 7 will bring that painting into life. So that'll be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, then leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching, we'll see you at the next one.